Please join me in the chanting of the 5 precepts, and then we will start our meditation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnādāna viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu miccāchāra viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvādā viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramēraya majjapamā daṭṭhāna viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dhamma, I take refuge in the Sangha. For the second time, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dhamma, and I take refuge in the Sangha. For the third time, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dhamma, I take refuge in the Sangha. I abstain from killing, I abstain from taking what is not given, I abstain from sexual misconduct, I abstain from telling lies and harsh speech, I abstain from alcohol and intoxication. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now your eyes closed. You will join me in this moment of guided, with the instructions of guided meditation. Taking a deep breath in and releasing to relax. Today you can practice the kind of practice called RAIN, R-A-I-N, recognizing, accepting, investigating, and non-judgmental awareness. Before we begin with that kind of practice, you will scan your body to make sure you move away from agitations and to feel relaxed, to collect your thoughts, to let go of your past and the future, staying with what you are experiencing now. Please breathe in and breathe out to bring your awareness and mindfulness into your breathing. You can remind yourself that the breath that you are taking now is happening now. So you recognize this breath, accept it as your present. Investigate the arising nature of your peace, conditioned by your awareness on breathing. You let it rain with recognizing, accepting, investigating the causes of your peace, and non judgmental awareness. Every time you are distracted, you recognize it. Come to your breathing and stay as fully present as possible. Accepting this as your experience in present now. In your non judgmental awareness, you are just aware without reacting to anything. Not making up stories or running after things, chasing things. You let things go, let things be, and let it rain. Recognize, accept, investigate the causes of your peace. Basically, the causes of your peace is your awareness on breathing. So you continue to have non judgmental awareness. It's like never mind kind of awareness. This mind is pure in its real state. When the dust settles, the mind will unify, stay present, luminous and pure. Pervading this body, calm and peaceful. If something uninvited visits you in this experience in your mind, wait patiently until they have disappeared. Without struggling with it, just being there with the voice in your head saying, oh, this, oh, that. Nothing there to be excited about. What is present here and now may be concepts about things, thoughts before they become words, and some thoughts don't ever become words. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright and straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhus. So, I hope it rained well in your mind as we did the rain practice today, and you can use it in your daily meditations as a simple technique where you can, through which you can cultivate your mindfulness. So, rain is widely used in the Western world as a technique to cultivate mindfulness and focus in their meditation. RAIN is an acronym which includes recognizing, accepting, investigating, and non judgmental awareness. So these four words mm, have become an acronym as RAIN. So they say, let it rain. So you just close your eyes and let it rain in your mind. If you have any questions on that or anything else, feel free to prepare to ask those questions anytime in our discussion time. So today, I thought it is timely that we discuss about ecocide, about destructing, destroying the nature, deforestation, polluting the water, um, torturing wild animals, taking their lands. And there is discussion on this in the world every day. About 2 years ago, I remember in an event in Sri Lanka, there was this wildlife enthusiast. He was speaking about the value of a certain area and not destroying that area for construction purpose. And she was talking about oxygen. And then someone asked, what is the use of oxygen? Can we eat it? So this shows that some people are not totally really aware of these things. They are uneducated. So I thought, it would be nice to think about how the Buddha has paid attention to the nature and how we can also contribute by thinking in the same way as Buddhists to really protect the nature as best as we can, or raise awareness about it, or to be aware about what we should know. So if you think about it, from birth to passing away in great parinirvana, the Buddha happened to be under trees. When he was born in Lumbini Park, he was under the Sala trees. And then when he became enlightened in Bodh Gaya, he was under the Bodhi tree. When he passed away in Upavattana Sala forest, he was under trees. So this shows how closely connected he is with the nature. And there are rules that monks are not even supposed to break a leaf from a tree. In fact, one of the monks who was very strict on this particular rule, he got into a canoe and he happened to hold a tiny branch of a tree and happened to break a leaf from that branch. And he had so much remorse, thinking that, oh, I kept my vinaya, my rules very well, but in the end, I happened to make this mistake. But it was unintentional. He couldn't get over this mistake he made. He was troubled with it. So it looks like there was this awareness among the monks that we are part of the nature, and monks take delight in the nature. The Buddha has continuously encouraged us to dwell close to the forest, close to the nature, and may become part of it. If you happen to be in the forest, you make sure that you don't scare the animals away. Even the robes that monks are supposed to wear in the forest should have colors that do not frighten animals. So these instructions are there in order to really you become part of the nature. You don't become a disturbance because of your way of being in the nature. So mass, deforestation, these are in the discussions everywhere. And our part is to make sure that we know where to look at and where to not destroy. And of course, we as humans need food and we need to have some land area. But sometimes those areas are the areas where elephants happen to be living. They don't, they have great memory. They don't forget where they lived a couple of years back and they would come into these areas. So putting fences sometimes have not worked. And sometimes they also get killed by trains without a fence. There are these railway roads built without a fence. So these have become harmful to them. So I decided to share a story of a monk who, according to the literature, happened to live during the time of King Asoka. And he happened to be a prince. And he saw deers hunting in the wilderness. He thought, wow, how free they are. And then he saw monks dwelling under trees, and he thought, wow, this should be a great way of life. So the story goes, and before I go any further, I will share the screen with you so you know what I'm talking about. This is the story. One day, well, maybe I will bring it from here. These lovely verses are attributed to Tissa Kumara, the youngest brother of King Ashoka, and if this is true, it demonstrates how some of the poetry of the Theragatha entered into the Pali canon relatively late, at the time of the Third Council. Prince Tissa was made regent when Ashoka was first consecrated king. But within only a few years, inspired by the example of the forest-dwelling monk he encountered while hunting, he renounced worldly life to live as a simple Buddhist monk in the wilderness. His monastic name translates as the elder who lives alone, Eka Vihari. The poem excludes the romantic yearning for the solitude of nature felt by some who grew up, no doubt, in the court of the Maurya Empire. The first 5 stanzas are said to have been uttered to Ashoka while expressing his wish to become a monk, and the last 2 verses were composed upon ordination. The final verse, not translated here, attests to his eventual awakening. It was quite a family. Ashoka's son Mahinda and daughter Sanghamitta were the ones to formally bring the Dhamma to the island of Lanka, where Theravada Buddhism flourished for 2.5 millennia. The mountains named in the last stanza actually refer to the ring of hills surrounding Vulture's Peak. But since the previous stanza specifies the peak of a mountain, I think it is appropriate to name the more well-known site. Anyways, for the verses, I'm going to use some Pali also. There's this picture of some pond. So 537 says, Purato pachato vapi aparo te navidyati. If there is no one found in front or behind, Ativa bhasu bhavati ekassa vassato vani. This is very comfortable for one who dwells alone in wood. Handa eko gamissami aranyang buddha vannitang. Well, I will go alone to the wilderness raised by the Buddhas. Asu eka viharissa pahitattassa bhikkhuno, which is comfortable for the monk who dwells alone, who is resolute. Yogi piti karang rammang matta kunjara sevitang, delightful forest which brings joy to yogis, where rutting elephants live. Eko attavasi kippang avisissami khananang. I will quickly enter, and there will I dwell by myself alone. This is the verse I remember. Supuphite Sitavane Sitale Girikandare. In the cool, blossoming, cool wood, which has mountain caves. Gattani Parisinchitva. Chankamissami Ekako. After washing my limbs, I will walk in meditation alone. Ekakiyo adutiyo ramaniye mahavane. Alone without a second person in the delightful great wood. Kadahang viharissami Katha kicho anasavo. When will I live? So, having fulfilled my duties without pollutants, Evang me kattu kamasa adhipayo samijjatu. May the intention succeed for the one who has this desire, is making a wish here. Sadhi issa mahang yeva nanyo anyasa karako. I myself will accomplish it. No one can act on behalf of another. Esa bandhami sannahang pavisissami kananam. I am bound in armor. I will enter the forest. Na tato nikkamisami appatto asavakkayam. I will not depart from the forest without the destruction of pollutants attained. Malute upavayante site surabhigandhike. While the breeze blows cool, fragrant, and perfumed, Avijjang dalayissami nisinno nagamuddhani. I will burst apart ignorance, sitting on the mountain top. Vane kusuma sanchanne pabbhare nuna sitale. In a flowery wood on the cool mountain slope. Vimutti sukhena sukhito ramissami giribbaje. I will delight in giribbaja, happy with freedom's bliss. Giri refers to somewhere there are rocks. Sohang paripunna sankappo chando panna raso yatha. I am one whose aspiration, like the moon on the 15th day, has come to fulfillment. Sabba sava parikhino natti dani punabhavoti. With all pollutants completely destroyed, now there is no rebirth. Ithang sudang ayasma eka viharyo thero gathayo abhasithati. The verses that the Venerable Elder Lone Dweller spoke. So Lone Dweller is his name, Eka Viharya. When he became a monk, he preferred to live in the forest. He loved it. Formerly when he was a prince, he knew this forest. He knew where wild animals live because he used to go hunting. He no longer has those intentions. He loves the very forest where he did hunting before, where now he has become an arahant who has ended all the pollutants in his mind. So, Ramaniyani Aranyani, the forests are beautiful, delightful. Nate Kama Gavesino. These are not really delightful for those who are looking for sensual pleasures externally. External sensual, because inside the forest, it's hard to find them unless you bring your polluted mind with you. Vitaraga Ramisanti, those who have eradicated lust, they enjoy the life in the forest. Nate kama gavesino. They are not those who are looking for sensual pleasures. So these are verses that normally we monks remember about how much love some of these monks expressed in their verses when they have become enlightened monks and as they are recorded in the scriptures. And I think one last thing I will share that I remember is Angarinodani duma badante palesino chadanang vipahaya te achimanto pabhasaya yanti Kalo Mahavira Bhagiratana. So this is the former minister Kaludai trying to convince the Buddha to visit his father's, the Buddha's previous kingdom, Kapilavastu. After his enlightenment, he has never visited Kapilavastu, I think for 5 years, as far as I remember. And his father sent many messengers. All of them became monks and became arahants. They ended their defilements. It was so powerful that they could not go back. And they, instead of bringing the Buddha with them to the kingdom, they stayed with the Buddha. They loved the Buddha. So Kaludai is one of those ministers who was sent by the king. He too became a monk and became enlightened. And he knew that the Buddha would love the nature. So he began presenting some verses like Angari Nodani Dhuma Badante. Venerable Sir, the trees are full of yellow flowers. Te Achimanto Pabhasyanti. They are extremely beautiful and they emit fragrance. So it is a summer. The streets are beautiful with flowers, and it is the time for you to visit your father's kingdom. So when this kind of invitation was made, Buddha accepted it. And it is only then that the Buddha went to Kapilavatthu to meet his family, father and Princess Yasodhara and his son Rahula. So these are beautiful instances, and among many other verses, where we find the love the Buddha showed toward the nature. So ecocide and destructing the nature means we aren't really valuing it. I mean, not us, but in general, mass production, and there are many ways we may be contributing to it by killing insects, using all these pesticides, etc. So we need to have this awareness that may we never contribute to that kind of lifestyle. If it harms the tiniest beings, maybe abstain from that kind of lifestyle. So I will finish when Seattle, I think the Red Indian leader, he said, humans will realize when the last tree has been destroyed from lands, when the last fish has been taken out of water, humans will realize that money cannot be eaten. Attributed to him, I'm not sure if he said such a thing, but that is what I remember. So, any thoughts that you like to share before we finish for the day?
It was very nice, Bante, and it very timely and very important subject nowadays, actually. And it's very interesting to hear those poems, and it painted a good picture in my mind too.
So, for you to become a monk in the forest?
Yeah, yeah, we kind of like not really be a monk, but I would love to have that kind of environment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the imagery is beautiful, right? for some reason struck in my mind that, Changtamissami ekako, I do walking meditation alone in the forest. Supipite Sitavane, in the cool forest, which has flowers. Gattani Parisinchitta, having watched my limbs. So that kind of a, because you have, let go of everything that you own in life, relationships and everything. And you are trying to get rid of all the defilements in your mind, vomit them off, Vantakam, because that's what disturbs you. It's the only pollutant that you may be dealing with when you are in that kind of an environment, having let go of everything, having renounced everything. So the forest is a great, great support for that kind of a being, that kind of a noble being. Anyway, thank you for joining. I appreciate your time. We appreciate your time. And we will meet again next week. Sorry about last Saturday. Although the right message was attempted to be delivered by Chandratilaka Nona, she had thought that the screen message that she shared will be seen by everybody who attended the Saturday meditation in the morning, because we monks had to be in Indiana for a Pinkama, for an event. But looks like some people didn't see that message, because she has to be an admin of the temple's group. She changed her name as Bantesa something something. So some people thought it is an account of a Bante. So someone also came to the temple, knocked on the door, make sure we were safe. So things like that happen. But we will make sure that we let everyone know as best as we can when events like this happen. So thank you for your patience, and see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bante.
Bante.
Sanai.
Teruan Sanai Swaminathan.